Hello, am I audible to everyone?
Good evening, sir.
I'm taking your class on behalf of Armstead.
So you will be doing the revision or you will be continuing with the portion?
I'm continuing the portion.
Yes, okay.
Okay, so you all have just started induction. Okay, I'm starting from the beginning and I will left some portion which you have already learned. Okay, the induction actually means, suppose if you have two different coils, suppose coil means any solenoid and you are providing any DC source in that particular coil, means through any battery like this. There is a key. When switch is off in this particular situation, whether any current will flow in this particular loop or not.
No, sir.
So at time t is equals to 0, when switch is in off state, current 0, magnetic field 0. So net flux to this particular coil would be 0. But when switch gets on, suppose switch is on now, then current from this particular battery will start increasing to flow through this particular coil. Starting from this particular 0, it will increase to gain its maximum value, that is called I naught. Due to this particular current, there would be magnetic field this particular coil. And since it is solenoid, so we must have learned magnetic field due to solenoid is mu naught times N into I naught. Is it clear? On the basis of this particular magnetic field, it will pass through this particular loop like this. So this loop would have some amount of area. Let's call it as A. So there would be flux crossing in that particular area would be nothing but B times A. So if I compare from the starting point when T is equals to 0 to this particular point when switch gets on, the flux initially was 0, but now it has some amount of flux. So on comparing, we can conclude there is some amount of flux is changing.
It
Okay.
says that BA or PA cos theta.
Suppose if magnetic field is going along this direction, let's say area vector for this particular loop would be along same direction. So these two would be parallel to each other. So theta would be 0 degree and cos 0 is nothing but 1. Is it clear?
Yes, sir, clear.
Okay. So I'm just defining you on this particular situation and on this particular situation, there is some change of flux during this particular interval. So according to Lenz's law, if there is some change in magnetic flux, it will induce an EMF. And due to induction of that particular EMF, there would be some amount of current would flow in this particular loop. So in this particular situation, when switch is being on, let's say a current will be going along this direction due to polarity of this particular battery. We call this particular current as making current. So here flux is increasing or decreasing? Noor?
Yes, sir.
Whether flux is increasing or decreasing in this particular situation?
So it's increasing.
Increasing. So according to Lenz's law, it tells you if flux is increasing, then induced EMF will tends to oppose it by reducing it. So By induction of an EMF due to changing flux this particular coil, a current will induce in this particular loop will be in opposite direction. Let's call it as I induced. Is it clear to everyone?
Right.
So this phenomena of inducing EMF due to changing of flux within the same coil is called self-induction. So induction is nothing but induction of any EMF or current due to changing or variable current passed through this particular coil is called induction. It is of two different types. First is self-induction, and next one is mutual induction, which you have already learned some part. Okay. Mariam?
Yes, sir.
Any doubt?
No, sir.
Now, in this particular situation, if I have to calculate net current flowing this particular loop, what would it be? Just see, this particular current is going along positive side and this induced current is going negative side. So they are in opposite sense. So we can take it as I making current minus I induced current. Is it clear?
Yes, sir. Yes.
In the next case, suppose this is switch, battery, and this particular condition. At this time, current in this particular loop is maximum. So magnetic field crossing through that particular loop is maximum. So there would be flux, which is equals to BA. Suppose I put switch to be off. On just switching off this particular term, current would start increasing or decreasing or remain same. Current will start decreasing and it will decreases to 0. Due to this particular change of current to 0, magnetic field induced in this particular loop will become 0. And similarly, flux will become 0. Is it clear?
Yes, sir.
Now, just see, here we have flux, which is equals to B times A. But at this particular situation, flux becomes 0. So on comparing from this instant to this instant, what we conclude, flux is changing or not?
Yes, sir.
Is this particular flux is increasing or decreasing?
Now it's decreasing.
Decreasing. So we can conclude if flux is decreasing or increasing, according to Lenz's law, it tells you there must be some induction of EMF and some induction of current. So let's say initially we have current along this direction, but now on switching off, this current will start decreasing. So we call it as breaking current. But according to Lenz's law, if flux start decreasing, the induced EMF or induced current will tend to increase it. Due to this concept, a current will get induced along same direction like this. Is it clear?
Yes, sir.
Now, if you calculate the net current flowing this particular loop, so it would be I breaking plus I induced. Now, if I ask you, if I have aligned or I have joined a bulb in this particular circuit like this, just tell me in which of the situation the bulb will glow more brighter.
In second.
Nazira?
Yes, sir.
Just tell me in which of the case the bulb will grow more brighter.
The first is
just say we have net current as I making minus I induced, but in second situation, net current is I breaking plus I induced. So net current in switching off situation will be more than net current in switching on condition. Okay. So the glow of bulb in the second situation will be brighter. Is it clear to everyone?
Can you explain that again, sir?
These two cases or the second
No,
part?
only the bulb. Yes.
In the first case, as the flux was increasing due to increasing of current. So according to Lenz's law, it tells you when flux start increasing, the induced EMF or induced current will align itself in such a way that it always opposes the change. Okay. On that particular behavior, the induced current will align itself in such a way that it opposes the variable current rate. So it will align in just opposite direction. So net current in this first situation would be I making minus I induced. While switching off state, the flux start decreasing. So according to Lenz's law, the induced current will align itself in such a way that it opposes the change. Since the current is decreasing, so it will align along same direction to increase it, so that net current in this particular situation becomes I breaking plus I induced. Now just compare the net current in these two situations. In which state net current is more?
In the second state.
So bulb will glow more brighter in the second situation. Is it clear to everyone?
Yes, sir.
Just
Okay, just write it down. Yes. Ahmed?
in the second case, the I don't know about the I net, but I making of current is more, right?
No,
and
no.
it is opposed.
I have just taken I making and I breaking to be identical. Thus, just their notion of switching on or switching off, they are different. But in magnitude wise, they are equal.
Yes, sir, clear.
Just write it down.
Yes, sir.
Have you all written? Noor?
Yes, I'm done.
So we have just defined induction as nothing but phenomena of inducing EMF or current due to variable current. Phenomena of inducing EMF or current due to variable current pass through it. So we have mainly two types of induction. First is called self-induction, and next one is mutual induction. Self-induction means induction within the same coil, as we have done in last page. If you have a coil and when you switch on or switch off, the induced current will be within the same loop. So it is called self-inductance. Now suppose if I just join another coil in neighboring of this particular term, like this, and if I have joined a galvanometer to check whether the current is induced or not, we have galvanometer here. So in this particular situation, if flux is changing in this particular first coil, we call it as primary coil. Due to changing in this particular coil, there would be another flux change in the neighboring coil due to its closely placedness. So another EMF will induce in the second coil due to the effect of this particular primary. We call this particular effect or this phenomena as mutual induction. So we have mainly two types of induction. So next part is self-inductance. Do you have any idea about this particular term, self-inductance?
Yes, sir.
Yes, tell me.
So it can generate, like it can induce EMF by itself, like in eddy current,
No,
AC
just
AC generator.
induction is just a phenomena of inducing EMF or inducing current by variable current. Inductance is the property of that particular coil by which it opposes the variable current. Okay. Inductance is just a property of that particular coil to oppose that variable current when passed through this particular coil. Likewise, you must have learned in your class 11th, for a body having mass, if you apply a force over it, there is a tendency of this particular body to oppose this particular external force so as to continue their own state. This property is called inertia. Similarly, like this particular inertia, it is called self-inductance here. When we apply any variable current through any of the coil, it has tendency to oppose that variable current by inducing a current in the same coil, that is called self-inductance. If it induces a current in neighboring coil, then it is called mutual inductance.
Sir, can you explain self-induction once again?
Okay, just 1 minute. Induction is nothing but phenomena of inducing EMF current. Inductance is the property of the coil. Suppose when we have start in the first part, supposedly if you just switch on or switch off in this particular situation, current will start increasing or start decreasing. Due to that particular change of current, a flux induces in this particular coil, which is changing with respect to time. Due to that particular change, a variable current or a current gets induced in the same circuit. So it was the property of that particular coil to induce a current in the same circuit. Why so? Because a variable current was passed through that particular coil. So that tendency of the coil to oppose that variable current when passed through it is called self-inductance. Is it clear?
Yes, sir.
So we can define it like the property of coil to oppose variable current through it by inducing a current in same circuit. This tendency of coil is called self-inductance. It is just resemble the same behavior as we have learned in our class 11th, like inertia. So this is also called electrical inertia. Electrical inertia. Is it clear to everyone?
Yes, sir.
Maria?
Yes, sir.
Okay, just write it down. Okay. Have you all written? Ahmed?
Yes, sir.
Written?
No, sir. Yes, sir. Done.
Nazira? Okay. So first part, for self-inductance, we have three different terms to learn. First is flux linked. We have coil, and we'll pass variable current in this particular coil. The net flux induced in this particular coil would depend on nothing but the amount of variable current which is passed through this particular coil. So flux linked in this particular coil would be directly proportional to changing current passed through it. So you can write phi directly proportional to I. If we replace this particular proportionality constant by any term, it is called L into I. This particular L is similar as you have learned for mutual inductance as M. So this is called coefficient of self-inductance, having SI unit same as mutual inductance as Henry or capital H. Now we have flux and current, which are directly proportional to each other. So what would be the nature of graph for these two terms? Flux versus current. Noor?
Yes, sir. It's a straight line starting from origin.
Good. So the slope of this particular straight line will define nothing but, suppose
The
if I
coefficient of self-inductance.
Suppose if you rearrange this particular term, it would be L is equals to phi over I, and perpendicular over base is nothing but slope of flux versus current graph. So from this particular graph, if I have taken the slope, it is nothing but coefficient of self-inductance. The next part is, since current in this particular situation is changing, And with the change of that particular current, if we differentiate this particular whole part, we would get EMF induced. So the next part is EMF induced. EMF is nothing but minus of d phi by dt. So if we differentiate this particular part, L being constant, so taken outside, so d phi dt is nothing but L times di by dt. And if you multiply by negative sign, it would be minus of L di over dt. Is it clear?
Yes.
So again, if I draw a line or a graph for this particular part, this is your EMF and this is your di over dt. So these two terms are directly proportional to each other. So the graph in between them would be a straight line again. And if you again rearrange this whole part, you would get L is equals to EMF divided by di over dt, or slope of this particular graph. Mariam, any doubt?
No, sir.
Just write it down.
Sir, did we complete eddy current?
I will explain you later. I will explain you this particular self-inductance, then some portion of mutual inductance, then eddy current, and last part which is generated. Okay.
Sir, I have a seminar on that topic, so is it possible to do it as soon as possible?
Okay, no problem. Have you all written?
Oh, yes, sir.
Nazira?
Yes, sir. Done.
Okay. I'm giving you one problem. If there is a graph between current and time, this is your current versus time graph, like this, increasing, then constant, and then decreasing. From this particular graph, draw EMF versus time graph.
So it will be the same.
It will be same.
Yeah, maybe.
Okay. Anyone else?
So first it will increase, then it will go to 0. And it will again increase.
Okay. Anyone else? Mariam? Okay. I'm defining you. As we have learned in this particular part, EMF is nothing but minus of L di over dt. What it actually means? EMF is equals to minus L di over dt. So this particular part, di over dt, will define you the slope of current versus time graph. Okay. So just take the slope of this particular current versus time graph, multiply it by coefficient of self-inductance, and with negative sign, it will equals to EMF induced in that particular coil. Okay. So in the first part, slope of this particular straight line, whether it is positive, negative, or zero.
Positive.
Positive. So if you multiply negative sign with it, it will become negative or positive.
Negative.
Negative.
Now just check this particular slope for this particular instant, whether it is constant or increasing or decreasing.
Increasing.
For a straight line, I'm defining in just 1 minute. If it is straight, if we take inclination from x-axis at this point, if we take inclination with respect to x-axis at this point, whether these two angles would change or remain same.
Remain same.
Remains same.
Good. So we can conclude for a straight line, slope at each instant would remain same. It means slope is constant here. So if you multiply a negative sign, it will remain constant, but with negative polarity. Is it clear?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
So it will look like a negative term, but constant to this point. Just check for this particular instant, what would be the nature of slope? For this particular instant, the middle portion.
Yeah,
What is the inclination of this particular line?
It's constant.
This line is parallel to x-axis. So there is no inclination of this particular line with respect to x-axis. So it would be 0. Means slope of this particular line with respect to x-axis is 0. So if you put the 0 over here, EMF would become 0. So it would be 0 from this point to this point. Now just check again the third part. Just draw a horizontal line and take the inclination of this particular with respect to x-axis. Whether it is positive, negative, or 0?
Negative.
Negative. So if we multiply a negative sign with it, it will become
Positive.
good. So it will be like this. So the nature of graph for this particular current versus time, we're converting into EMF versus time, it will be like this. Is it clear to everyone?
Yes, sir.
Okay, just draw this.
Yes, sir.
There is nothing more after it. So it will stay at its own position like this.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Have you all written? Mariam? Done?
Yes, sir.
The next part is energy stored in this particular coil. If I ask you why energy will store in this particular coil, if you have a coil, battery, and a complete circuit, whether energy is stored, any energy would be stored in this particular coil or not, or if some amount of energy would be stored in this particular coil, why it would be. So you can answer it like, on just switching on, a variable current would pass through this particular coil. Due to that particular nature of variableness, the coil has tendency to oppose by inducing a current. But battery, for that particular opposite behavior of that particular coil, would apply some amount of work to pass that particular variable of current through this particular coil. That much amount of work done by this particular battery to pass variable current in this particular coil would start storing in the form of magnetic energy. Is it clear?
So can you repeat that again?
Since the coil has tendency to oppose any variable current, so initially when switch gets on, a variable current starts flowing in this particular circuit. Due to that particular variable nature, the coil will tend to oppose that particular variable current. Due to that, battery has to do some amount of work to pass that particular variable current against the opposite nature of this particular coil. That amount of work done by this particular battery to pass variable current through this particular coil gets stored in a form of energy, which is called magnetic energy stored. So we define dW amount of work is done to pass variable current through coil. And this particular amount of work done would get stored in the form of energy, which is called potential energy stored. And this potential energy would be in the form of magnetic, so it is called magnetic potential energy stored. Work done is nothing but voltage into current into time, so we can write EMF current into time. On integrating, on putting the value of EMF as L di by dt and solving them, we will get half L I squared. Is it clear? I have just put EMF is equals to L di over dt. In this particular situation, dt and dt would cancel out. So we're left with I di. On integrating, it becomes I square upon 2. Answer, half L I square.
So how do you get that EIDT?
Just 1 minute. Potential energy is nothing but amount of work done. Work done is nothing but voltage into charge. Is it clear?
Yes, sir.
Voltage is nothing but EMF. So we can write EMF into dq. EMF is nothing but L di over dt into dq. dq over dt is nothing but current. So we can write it as L into current into di. So L being constant taken outside. So we just integrate this particular I with respect to di. It has exponential 1. So on integrating, it will becomes I square upon 2. So it will be half L I square. Is it clear now?
Yes, sir.
So how half came?
Yes, Abdullah?
So it's me. No. How half came?
This half. You must know
Yes, sir.
the rule of integration. If x raised to the power n dx, it would be n plus 1 divided by n plus 1. So we have exponential of current as 1. So on integrating, it will becomes 1 plus 1 divided by 1 plus 1.
Yes, sir. Clear.
So we won't take into account the negative sign.
Negative sign is due to the opposite nature of that particular EMF and changing current. So we are just considering the magnitude only.
Okay, sir.
The next part is what would be the nature of graph with respect to potential energy and current? From this relation. Mariam?
Yes, sir.
Would you like to define the nature of graph between potential energy and current?
Parabola.
Potential energy is equals to half L I squared. So just relate this particular function and this particular function.
It's directly proportional.
Directly
It'll be-
proportional to linear power exponential with some other exponential. Here we have exponential 1 and here we have exponential 2.
Yes. So it'll be twice.
So the nature of curve would be straight line or something else.
Parabola.
So it will be parabola.
Good. Along which axis?
X
Parabola along which axis?
Positive axis.
Just see. Even power of one of the coordinate, parabola would be with respect to opposite axis. So we have even power on current. So parabola would be along opposite axis, that would be along energy. So it will look like this term. Okay, Mariam?
Yes, sir.
Okay, just write it down. Nazira, any doubt?
No, sir.
Have you all written?
Yes, sir.
Now, the next part is what do you mean by inductor? As we have learned, resistor in third chapter. Resistor are the substance which have measurable amount of resistance offering. So the substance which has tendency of a resistance are called resistor. Similarly, inductor are the coil which has tendency of inductance. Okay. So next we define inductance or coefficient of self-inductance for any long solenoid. So next is to define coefficient of self-inductance for long air-cooled solenoid. Air-cooled means medium is filled with air only. There is no other medium or other substance in the core of that particular solenoid. So let's say you have a solenoid having area of cross section A, number of turns N, and length L. So first is magnetic field produced by this particular solenoid. As we have learned in chapter 4, it is equals to mu naught times N into I. Now for flux linked with this coil would be flux is equals to nothing but NBA into cos theta. Since the area vector of this particular coil and magnetic field induced or linked with this particular coil, they are parallel. So we just take theta to be 0 degree. Next, we define small n, which is equals to number of turns per unit length. So from this, if we convert capital in terms of this, it would be n is equals to small n into L. So we have n into L. B is nothing but mu naught times n into I and area A. Cos 0 is 1. So we just neglect it. Next is flux is nothing but L into I with respect to coefficient of self-inductance. So I and I would cancel out. So L would be equals to mu naught times N square A into L. This would be a final formula for coefficient of self-inductance for air-cooled solenoid. Now, next is this particular A into L would define you nothing but volume. Volume is equals to area into length. So it may be written like this, mu naught times N square into volume. Is it clear?
Yes, sir.
Now, there is one limitation or one condition. Suppose if I have inserted some material in the core of this particular solenoid, how will it affect this particular coefficient of self-inductance? As we have learned in our first chapter, there was a term which is called epsilon. It was epsilon naught, epsilon m, and epsilon r. These are three terms which is called permittivity or absolute permittivity or permittivity of any medium. Have you remembered?
Yes, sir.
Similarly for magnetism, we define three different terms. One is mu naught, that is permeability of vacuum, mu m, permeability of any medium, and mu r is relative permeability. So relative permeability is equals to permeability of any medium divided by vacuum. So from this, mu of m is equals to mu relative times mu naught. This would be your formula. Now, suppose if a rod is inserted in the core of this particular solenoid, like you have a rod which is inserted in this particular core. So it would be like this. Now, the core medium from air would changes to some other medium. So as we are writing here mu naught, it will now becomes mu m. Okay.
Yes, sir.
If a rod is inserted in the core, now L becomes L dash, which is equals to, here we have used just mu naught because it was just air in the core of this particular solenoid. But now we have some other medium other than air. For that particular medium, we use just mu m. Is it clear to everyone? Ahmed?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
So on putting this particular value of mu m, it would be mu m times n square a into L. Now, mu m is nothing but mu r times mu naught. So it would be mu r times mu naught n square a into L. Now just in this particular relation, this whole part is nothing but L as we have derived earlier. So we can write this as mu r times L. So on inserting any medium, the coefficient of self-inductance get increased by mu r times. Okay?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Now you must have learned in your chapter 5th, there are 3 different types of magnetic material. One is diamagnetic, paramagnetic, and ferromagnetic.
Yes, sir, we didn't learn chapter 5.
Okay, first of all, just write it down. Ahmed, written?
Yes, sir.
Nazira? Done? Now, L dash is equals to mu r times L. We have 3 different types of magnetic material for which we define mu r relative permeability as mu r is less than 1 for diamagnetic substance, greater than 1 for paramagnetic substance, and very, very large compared to 1 is ferromagnetic. So question will ask you whether a diamagnetic substance is inserted in the solenoid in the core material of solenoid, how would coefficient of self-inductance would be affected, whether it would increase or decrease. So just see their values. If mu r is less than 1, so it will decrease or increase. Hello, Noor?
That will decrease.
Decrease, good. And for para and ferro?
The para and ferro
will increase.
So for dia, L dash would be lesser than L, but for either of these two parts, L dash would be more as compared to L. Okay, we have just defined coefficient of self-inductance for a long solenoid. The next part is magnetic energy density. Energy density is nothing but energy divided by volume. So it is represented by small ub, which is equals to potential energy divided by volume. As we have just derived the last part, potential energy was half L I square divided by volume A into L. We are defining this particular whole value with respect to solenoid. Now, for solenoid, magnetic field is equals to mu naught times N into I. So just derive I from this particular part. It would be B divided by mu naught into N. And coefficient of self-inductance, as we have derived in last section, it was mu naught N square A into L. Just put these two values and rearrange and try to obtain the relationship. Just try to solve, all of you. Put the value of I and put the value of L in this particular expression and try to solve. Noor, you have done mistake in the exponential of B. Check your calculation, please. Good, Aman. Mariam, have you done? Nazira? Half, we have to just put their values on their own position. The value of L is nothing but mu naught times n square A into L. I is nothing but B upon this part. So it would be B square divided by mu naught square n square and whole divided by volume, that is A into L. This particular AL, this particular A would cancel out. Mu naught and mu naught cancel out. N square and n square cancel out. So we're left with half B square upon mu naught. Mariam, is it clear?
Yes, sir.
Just write it down.
Yes, sir.
Nazira, have you done? Mariam?
Yes, sir.
The next part is like we have done combination of resistor in third chapter. Similarly, there is a problem in relation with combination of inductor. Combination of inductor. We are not taking the effect of mutual inductance. Mutual inductance is neglected. So suppose if you have one coil and another coil, in which combination these two coils are arranged? Series or parallel? Series. There is one coil here, another coil here, and they are connected like this. So it will be parallel. As we have learned, in series combination, current is same and voltage would be different. So net voltage would be equals to EMF induced by each particular coil. EMF is nothing but L equivalent di over dt. Similarly, L di over dt and L di over dt. As current is same in series combination, so this, and this would cancel out. Minus, minus, minus cancel out. So we're left with L equivalent is equals to L1 plus L2. Just same as the combination of resistor. Similarly, for parallel combination, it would be 1 upon L equivalent is equals to 1 upon L1 plus 1 upon L2. Is it clear?
Yes, sir.
Okay, just write it down. I'm giving you one problem.
So this is meter bridge kind of thing.
No. Find L equivalent. First one is easy. Find L equivalent in these two problems. Just a few minutes, and I'm coming back. Try to solve this question.
Yes, sir.
Try to solve the second part, Noor. You're done correct. You just see this particular part. This is nothing but parallel combination. So if we shift this 4 to one side, to this side, it will look like parallel combination. So just apply this particular formula, you will get the result. Good, Noor. Ahmed, have you solved second one? First one is in parallel combination. Good. Try to solve the second one. And which combination is it, Ahmed?
So they are in series, but I don't think the first two will be counted because there is a separate path for them to pass through. So we'll just count.
What you said?
So I guess we'll not count the first two solenoids because they have a separate path through which they can pass through. So we'll be just counting the
Okay.
third one.
No. In the case of this, we have two different paths. Let's say this is your point P. This is your point Q. This is your point R. And this is your point S. Try to divide this particular circuit like this. So let's say for this particular point P, it is connected by some connecting wire with respect to R. So as we know, there is no resistance of any connecting wire. So it would be no inductance for any connecting wire. So it means P and R would be shorted together. So it will be P and R together. Similarly, Q and S would be together. Is it clear? Now, we have one inductor from P to Q. So it will be one inductor from P to Q. Similarly, there is one inductor from Q to R. So it will be Q to R. And again, there is one inductor from R to S. So it would be one inductor from R to S. So this should be your combination.
Same answer.
Good. Noor,
Yes, sir.
how you have analyzed this particular circuit?
Asam sir taught us one potential divider method using that.
Okay. Good. Is it clear to everyone?
Yes, sir.
So these two combinations will be in parallel. So just take this particular formula. So 1 upon R L equivalent is equals to 1 upon 2 plus 1 upon 6 plus 1 upon 3. Take the LCM to be 6. So it would be 3 plus 1 plus 2. 6 over 6 would be 1. So L equivalent would be 1 Henry for either of the two questions. So we have done all different parts of this particular self-inductance. The next is some left portion of your mutual inductance. Then I will define your eddy current. Okay, Amit?
Yes, sir.
Mutual induction. It was the phenomena of inducing EMF in the neighboring coil due to changing of flux in the primary one. And the property of coil to oppose that particular flux of the neighboring coil due to changing or variable current in the primary is called coefficient of mutual inductance. Similarly, as we have done for self-inductance, there is another relation, flux linked. But in this particular condition, we define their notation in which coil the flux is changing with respect to which one. Suppose you have one primary coil like this, and due to this particular coil, there is induction in the secondary. So we take this particular to be 1 and take this particular to be 2. So this would be your primary and this would be your secondary. So in primary would be the source of EMF, means battery would be connected with the primary one. So the flux linked with secondary with respect to primary would be directly proportional to current changing in primary coil. If you remove this particular proportionality term, it would equals to sum capital N times I. This capital M is called coefficient of mutual inductance. The next part is you must have learned EMF induced. So just differentiate this whole part. It would be EMF is equals to minus of d phi over dt. So it would be minus m times di over dt. So we are just considering EMF induced in the secondary coil due to changing in primary. So it would be primary current and the mutual inductance would be of secondary coil. Is it clear?
Yes.
So these are just two different formula. Just write it down, and I'm giving you some problem regarding this particular part. Move.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Mariam, have you done?
Yes, sir.
So on the base of this particular mutual inductance, you must have done some problems. I'm giving you some relation. Find coefficient of mutual inductance if there is one coil at the center and there is one another coaxially placed like this. There will be different radius of either of the coil. Let's say it would have radius A and it would have radius B. This is your radius A and this is your radius B. So the outer coil would be taken as source. On that particular basis, just define the magnetic field of the source, multiply it by the area of the secondary coil, and just compare it. Phi is equals to m into I, and try to calculate m. Is it clear? Take the outermost coil to be source. So source will generate amount of magnetic field. And we have to link that particular flux in the secondary coil. So flux with linked in this particular coil. So just multiply the area of this particular coil to the magnetic field of this particular source and compare phi is equals to m into I. I and I would cancel out. So we're left with nothing but capital M. Try to solve. You may ask, this particular source will generate magnetic field. You must have learned the magnetic field due to circular coil at the center. Amit, have you remembered the formula?
Yes, sir.
What would be the formula for a magnetic field due to current carrying circular loop at its center?
Mu naught mu naught I by 2 pi.
2 pi. No, it should be
4
2r.
pi. Oh, yes, yes.
So source will generate magnetic field is equals to mu naught times current divided by 2 times R. And R here for the source coil would be B. So we have magnetic field. Calculate the area of the secondary coil, that is this particular smaller one. It has area A, so it would be pi times A squared. Multiply them to get flux. Just put the value of flux in this equation, cancel out I, and try to obtain M. Noor, check your answer, please. Mariam, have you solved?
Sir, I'm
Nazira? We have magnetic field and we have area. So just multiply them. Now it's clear. Now it's correct, Noor. Phi is equals to magnetic field into area of cross section, which is equals to mu naught times current divided by 2 times B into pi times A squared. As we have phi is equals to M into I, so it would be M into I and I gets cancelled out. So we're left with M is equals to mu naught times pi A square divided by 2 times B. Is it clear, Emil?
Yes.
Have you all written?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Maria?
yes, sir.
I'm giving you one more problem in relation with this. Suppose if you have a square segment at the center and circular loop coaxially placed outside. The side of this particular square is A and the radius of this particular circle is B. Try to solve coefficient of mutual inductance. Similarly, you can solve if there is a circle at the center and there is square at its boundary. Or there would be square at center and square at coincidentally.
So we have to solve for 3 cases.
You can solve these three cases. I'm giving you just one. Which one you would like to solve? First, second, third, fourth?
First one.
Just try to solve this one. Rest of them you can solve at your homework. Ahmed, which one you have done? The second one or third one?
Okay, first.
You have to solve this one. There is one concept other than this particular term. So I have given you to solve this.
So what about the side?
Yes?
What about the sides of the square? Are we supposed to
Take the same
each side
term.
individually?
Take the radius of this particular term to A and side of this particular term would be B.
Okay.
Similarly, side of this is A and side of this is B.
So what would be the value for magnetic field?
This is the question to be asked. Let's just define, this is your square, which consists of line segment. And we have learned in Bar-Sart law how to define magnetic field due to a straight wire. Noor,
Yes, sir.
have you remembered the formula to calculate magnetic field due to a straight wire?
Mu 0 I and mu 0 I by 2 pi r.
No, it is due to the infinitely long wire. But when you have finite segment of wire, let's say if you have finite segment and you have to calculate magnetic field at this given instant. So it is inclined by some minus alpha angle to some plus beta angle. So the magnetic field in this particular case would be Km, or you can write mu naught over 4 pi times current over distance sine beta plus sine alpha. Is it clear?
So what will be the value for sine beta and alpha?
Now, suppose for this question, subtend a line from this and a line from this, and there is one line from this. So what would be the inclination of these two here, green line with respect to this particular part? It would be nothing but 45 degree and 45 degree. Okay. And the length of this particular blue strip from this particular boundary to the center would be nothing but b by 2. So for x, just put b by 2. And for alpha and beta, just put sine 45 and sine 5. And we have total 4 line segment. So just multiply that particular magnetic field due to one strip by 4 to get the total amount of magnetic field. Okay, Noor?
Okay, sir.
Try to solve. Zira, any doubt?
So sine 45 is
1 by
1
root 2.
into, so here it will be 2 by root 2, and then the value will be root 2.
Root 2, yeah.
Yes, okay.
So magnetic field due to one strip would be mu naught divided by 4 pi current divided by x. X is nothing but b over 2. Sine 45 1 by root 2 and sine 45 1 by root 2. So it would be just root 2. And we have total 4 line segment. So just multiply it by 4. So we will get b net is equals to a root 2 mu naught times I divided by pi b.
So how do you get the b by 2?
We have x. X is nothing but the distance of wire to that particular point on which we are considering or we are calculating magnetic field, x. So we have this particular length strip from this to this. So we have to calculate this part. And in a square, center is at the middle point. So it would be just half of this particular part. Or you can either solve by using this particular angle. Just like tan theta is equals to perpendicular by base. We have total as b. So half from this part to this part would be b by 2. So this would also be b by 2. So that tan 45 would be 1. Is it clear?
Yes, yes.
Okay.
So
So we
why
have just, yes.
Why is it 8 root 2? Like we have to multiply it by 4, right?
Yeah. On just multiplying by 4. This 4 and this 4 would be cancelled. Oh no. It would be
It should
just
be 2 root 2. Yes,
Yeah.
sir.
So the 4, there should be 4 pi, right?
Yes.
So the 4 doesn't get cancelled here.
Yeah, 4 and 4 would cancel out. So we'll just do here. It will be moved to the numerator. So it will
Okay,
becomes 2 root 2. Just multiply this particular magnetic field by pi times a square. Pi and pi would cancel out and I would cancel out with coefficient of mutual inductance. So we're left with m is equals to 2 root 2 times mu naught into a square divided by b. This would be our final answer. Mth pi would cancel out.
Yes, sir. Clear.
Mariam, is it clear how I have solved this part?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Have you all written?
Yes, sir.
Nazira? Mariam, have you done?
Yes, sir.
So we have just defined all different problems related to this particular self-inductance and mutual inductance. The next part is AD current. AD is nothing but any circular motion or whirling motion. So if there is a region of uniform magnetic field, let's suppose like this. And if there is support and I have hung a metallic plate with some thread to it like this. When I bring this particular plate to one side, let's say to this particular side, on going along this particular direction, whether any magnetic flux would change through this particular plate or not.
Yes, sir. It will, sir.
So on just entering in this particular region, the magnetic flux through this particular plate would start increasing. Okay. Similarly, on reaching just in opposite direction, this particular point, on leaving this particular region, magnetic flux would start decreasing. So according to Lenz's law, when magnetic flux linked a particular coil or any plate, metallic plate, would changing, then due to that particular change of magnetic flux, an EMF will linked into it. Okay. So since in this particular case, flux is increasing or decreasing, Ahmed?
Decreasing.
Why it would be decreasing? It is just
Because it is
entering into the magnetic field.
okay. If it is entering, then it will be increasing.
Increasing. And according to Lenz's law, if flux is increasing, then the induced current will behave as attractive or repulsive.
Repulsive.
Repulsive. So the amount or the magnetic field will induced in this particular region would be along same direction or would be in opposite direction.
Opposite direction.
So it would be just dot. For this particular direction of magnetic field, just take your right hand thumb in the direction of magnetic field, which is going outward, and right hand thumb curve will define the direction of current around it. So it will be nothing but current of anti-clockwise direction will induced in this particular plate. Is it clear?
Yes, sir.
Mariam, is it clear? What I have just defined here, since
Yes, sir.
we have a metallic plate, which is just entering in this particular region of uniform magnetic field, due to this particular entering, amount of magnetic field lines would cross through this particular loop would start increasing. Due to that particular increase of number of magnetic field lines, flux would start increasing. And according to Lenz's law, if there is change of magnetic flux, an EMF will linked into it. Since this flux is increasing, so the induced EMF will tend to oppose it by repulsion. As we have magnetic field is inward direction, so the induced EMF will produce a magnetic field in outward direction. Cross will represent you inward direction of magnetic field and dot will represent you outward direction of magnetic field. So this would be your outward magnetic field. Just put your right hand thumb in the direction of magnetic field, then curl of your right hand gives direction of current in this particular plate. Similarly, while going outside of this particular region, flux would start decreasing. Due to this particular decrease of flux, an EMF will induced in this particular plate along same direction of magnetic field, or it would be inward direction. Put your thumb in the direction of this particular magnetic field. So the current induced would be along clockwise direction. Is it clear?
Yes, sir.
Now just see these particular current which is inducing in this particular metallic plate is circulating in nature, circular in nature. So due to this particular shape, we call this as eddy. Eddy is nothing but circular or whirling thing. So since this particular current is circular, so we call this particular current as eddy current. Why this particular term current is generating? This is due to the changing of magnetic flux, since magnetic or metallic plate is oscillating in between uniform external magnetic field. Is it clear?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
So we define this particular eddy current as when a metallic plate oscillates in uniform external magnetic field. A circulating current will get induced. Why so? Due to changing magnetic flux through it. This circulating current is called eddy current. Ahmed, is it clear?
Yes, sir.
Now, its application is nothing but, since on going into this particular region, it will start repelling in this particular coil. So its motion would get damped. So we can call this particular term as damping ability. So it is, or simply, it causes damping to the motion. Damping means provides any resistive factor to decrease its motion so that there would be no change in magnetic flux or no induction in current or EMF. Due to this particular damping behavior, its application is, it is used in magnetic brakes, used in magnetic furnace to generate heat to melt some of the magnetic material. Furnace. Is it clear to everyone?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Mariam?
Yes, sir.
Just write it down.
Yes.
Mariam, done?
Yes, sir.
Nazira?
Yes, sir.
I'm giving you one question regarding this. Suppose this is your surface of Earth and you have a glass ball and a metallic ball. Are allowed to fall from this particular height to the Earth. This is your metallic ball and this is your glass ball. Just define which ball will hit Earth earlier.
Sir, both will do together.
Try to define. Any doubt in this question, Ahmed?
No, sir.
Noor, give reason. Just use the concept of earth magnetism. You must have learned in the 5th chapter. That's why I've given earth. Ahmed, why? Okay. Noor, give reason. Nazira, tell me your answer, please. Good. Okay. Suppose for this particular glass ball, there would be just one force, yeah, which is gravity. Due to this particular gravity, it would be falling downward. But in the case of this particular metallic ball, it would be descended by gravity. But on going downward, a magnetic flux would link this particular metallic plate. Since we have vertical component as well as horizontal component, two different component of earth magnetism, it will be affected by vertical component. Due to that particular change of magnetic flux through this particular metallic ball, according to Lenz's law, it will get repelled by eddy current or EMF induced. So the net acceleration of this particular ball would decrease with respect to this particular gravity. So it would just slow down. You both done correct. Okay, Ahmed?
Yes, sir.
So glass ball will hit the ground earlier and metallic ball would slow down and will take longer time. Nazira, it is clear? So do you have any doubt from today's class? Anyone of you?
No, sir.
Yes, Noor. On the basis of this particular eddy current or changing magnetic flux, this particular metallic ball would slow down just till it becomes or it comes to rest. Or it will just descend very slowly so that you can easily calculate time in which it will hit the ground. Okay?
Okay, sir.
There is various experiment regarding this particular term. You can search on YouTube as well.
Okay, sir.
This particular eddy current will produce such an enormous effect on this particular metallic ball such that its motion is retarded to comes to rest and all of a sudden. Okay?